Celebrating the century with TV worth watching, this is South Dakota Public Television.
You may have heard the terms computer hardware and computer software. While they may sound confusing at first, they're really very simple. Computer hardware is the machine itself, the circuit chips, cables, wires, keyboard, etc. Hard, tangible equipment you can touch and hold in your hand. Computer software, on the other hand, are instructions which tell the computer what to do. These instructions are called programs, and there are thousands of them available for different computing jobs. With the right software, computer hardware can become a word processor, or an accounting tool, or a video game machine. One important distinction that you need to make for yourselves is the difference between a computer and a computer system. A computer might be as small as an integrated circuit chip, or be in a box attached to a keyboard. A computer system, on the other hand, comes equipped with peripherals that enable you to communicate with the computer, to look at what you've done, and to store what you've done for later use. A true computer system usually consists of the following 5 things. Input, which allows you to communicate with a computer, such as typing on a keyboard. Output, which allows the computer to communicate some result back to you, such as a paper copy from a printer. Processing, which is the manipulation of your work by the computer itself. Storage, which allows you to save your work in an electronic form and recall it again for use later. And finally, software programs, which map out instructions to the computer on how to handle things like input, what the output should be, when to process, and where to store everything. Computers in general can do an awful lot of different jobs. However, not every computer is good for every application. Because the jobs computers do vary in scope according to the amount of work that needs to be done in a given amount of time, they also vary in power. The most powerful computers are called mainframes. They're generally very large computers which require the space of an entire room and special air conditioning to keep them from overheating. They're the most expensive computers available today, and are generally used by large institutions to provide comprehensive computer services. The main uses for mainframe computers are for processing large amounts of information, such as government statistics, airline reservations, and complex scientific experiments. The next classification of computers designed for intermediate-sized jobs are called mini-computers. While like a mainframe computer in design and concept, mini-computers are generally smaller, slower, and less expensive than mainframes. They're used by small to medium-sized businesses who can't afford the price or don't need the power of a mainframe. Finally, the last major classification of computers are microcomputers. They may not be able to accomplish the amount of work possible with a mini-computer or mainframe. However, they put computing power into the hands of individuals, which is why they're sometimes called personal computers. There are many different types of microcomputers available, the smallest being the portable briefcase computers, which generally consist of a keyboard for input, a display screen for output, a processor, and storage, all together in a size that will fit inside a briefcase. True portable computers operate off batteries, giving their users the freedom to work almost anywhere. Some have software programs factory installed, which can be accessed by turning the system on. Another type of microcomputer is the transportable, which can be moved about from place to place, but is generally larger than a briefcase computer and usually does not operate on batteries. These transportable computer systems feature keyboards for input, monitor screens for output, larger, more powerful processors, and disk drives for storage. Home and educational computers, which make up a third group of microcomputers, are usually available in component form. The computer processor and keyboard are housed together in one unit, and a display screen or monitor, printer, and disk drive are also all housed in separate units. The reason behind this was to allow a user to acquire a computer system one component at a time, when it is affordable or when a new application arises. A fourth group of microcomputers are called desktops, or business computers. While sometimes available in component form like a home computer, most desktops are sold as a computer system with keyboard, monitor, computer processor, printer, and application software such as word processing. Desktop computers can be expanded and adapted for a multitude of different business and scientific applications. In addition, because of the tremendous amount of software available for these computer systems, desktop computers are the most versatile microcomputers and the most popular with consumers. Let's review. A computer is actually just one part of a computer system. Hardware is the machine, cables, and circuit chips. Software are programs or instructions which tell the hardware how to operate. A computer system consists of 5 main parts: input, output, processing, storage, and software. The largest and most powerful computer systems are called mainframes. The next most powerful are mini-computers. And finally, microcomputers are available for individuals. These include portables, transportables, home and educational computers, and desktop or business computers. In order to use your computer, you need some way to communicate with it. And it's this process that's called input. And of course, it would be nice to get something back from the computer. And this is called output. And of course, you may want to keep what you have in your computer. And this brings up the idea of storage. These 3 elements, input, output, and storage, are very essential to understanding a computer system. We're going to take a look at all 3. Let's begin, logically, with input. There are many ways to input information into a computer, and probably the most common way is by typing the information on a keyboard. Most keyboards resemble standard typewriter keyboards, with the addition of several extra keys which allow for special functions or options. To edit and manipulate your information once it has been input into the computer, many computer systems utilize a hand controller device called a mouse. A mouse consists of a rubber ball inside a plastic housing. By moving your mouse over a smooth desktop, the ball moves, providing input to the computer to move a pointer on the display screen. Even more familiar than the mouse is the joystick. This hand controller device is a popular accessory for playing games. By moving the joystick and pressing its button, a game player can control the actions of the game, such as flying an aircraft. A freehand approach to inputting information such as drawings into a computer system can be accomplished with the aid of a device called a graphics tablet, or digitizer. A graphics tablet consists of a plastic board containing a grid of fine electrical wires. Using a special drawing pin called a stylus, contact is made with the grid of wire, which communicates information to the computer to create a corresponding graphics image.
This is a graphics tablet. And if you notice on a graphics tablet, there are a series of vertical and horizontal lines on this piece of acetate. Corresponding to those lines, inside this piece of plastic, are a series of wires that run the same way. This light pen has a sensor on the tip of it, and when I press down on the tablet itself, it records whatever color that I had already chosen.
Another device for input of drawings is the light pen. While similar in concept to the graphics tablet, the light pen user simply points the pen at the monitor screen to create corresponding graphics images. Light pens are popular in computer-aided design and manufacturing applications, also in education for the selection of items from the screen menu. And if you shopped at one of the newest supermarkets, you may be familiar with barcode, which is printed on most products available today. Barcode is a specialized code for representing data which can be input into a computer via an optical scanning device called a barcode reader. The simplest of barcode readers are rubbed over the surface of the barcode to input the data. Barcode readers can be used with all types of computer systems, from mainframes to micros. And if you've ever taken a computerized test with a number 2 pencil, you're already familiar with another input device, the optical scanner. Some optical scanners are programmed to recognize the dots created on computerized test papers, while others can read typewritten pages, and sometimes even your handwriting. Some of the most modern computer systems can recognize the human voice as input. While currently available for many types of computers, voice recognition is still in developmental stages, but holds a tremendous promise for the future.
Build a new query for Dow Jones. What is the current quote for Southwest Airlines on the New York Exchange? So it has just built this sentence for me. What is the current quote for Southwest Airlines on the New York Exchange? And again, that's executable, using simply my voice to create an English sentence.
Raise it up, raise it up, raise it up. Come on, get it up there, up. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. Good, and relax.
In scientific experiments, sensors can provide input to a computer to monitor various environmental activities such as movement, light, temperature, and sound. Sensors are useful because they can detect changes which are imperceptible to man or would otherwise be too dangerous to measure.
One of the advantages of a computer is, of course, that it can let us look at things like heart rate or blood pressure, behaviors of a client that we could never measure in the context of a normal treatment. And if these exceed certain allowable limits, we can put an alarm bell on or some kind of a signal and detect that something's going wrong. We can even look at fatigue and just exercises and determine that something's, not going right. And I think both at the immediate, within a session, looking at signals like that, and then also looking session to session at changes in behavior statistically analyzed so that we can look at mean standard deviation. We can begin to see trends that sometimes are indicative of continuing pathology, continuing problems, or that may, on the other hand, indicate that, our recovery is going the way that we expect it to.
Finally, just as you can input words and numbers into a computer via a keyboard, you can also input music via a piano-like keyboard. The notes and rhythm are recorded and can later be played back, edited, or added to additional tracks for a multi-track studio-style composition. Let's review. A keyboard is one of the most popular ways to input information into a computer system. A mouse is a hand controller device used to edit and select menu items. A joystick is used by game players to command the on-screen objects in a game. A graphics tablet allows a user to draw as a form of input. Light pens do the same, but work by pointing at the monitor screen. Barcode is a specialized code for representing data. Optical scanners can input test scores as well as typewritten information. Speech recognition systems allow users to talk to their computers. Sensors help measure environmental changes as a form of input. And finally, musical keyboards allow musicians to play music with a computer. Okay, so now you've seen the many different ways you can input information into the computer. And maybe you're wondering what you can get back out. So let's shift the topic of our discussion to output and take a look at the many different types of output and the tools and peripheral devices you can use. The most popular way to use computer output is via a display screen or monitor. While monitors resemble a standard television set, they don't have a tuner for tuning in broadcast television stations. There are three major types of monitors: CRTs, LCDs, and LEDs. CRTs, or cathode ray tubes, are the standard type of monitor used with most desktop computer systems and terminals. LCDs, which stands for liquid crystal display, are popular with small portable computers. A liquid crystal display uses a special material that, when electrically activated, can display text or graphics. LEDs, or light-emitting diodes, use special circuitry which emits light when electrically activated. Both LCDs and LEDs are used in flat display screens of some medium-sized transportable computers. Another common type of computer output is the paper copy created by a printer. While sometimes resembling a typewriter, the fundamental difference between a printer and a typewriter is the fact that a computer controls a printer, telling it which characters to print. There are several different types of printers which are available: thermal, dot matrix, inkjet, letter quality, color, and laser. Thermal printers use a heating element and special heat-sensitive paper to create characters and graphics. They're usually the most inexpensive printers available. Dot matrix printers create characters by forming them from a series of tiny dots. These printers can print very